Yeah, do that again.
Oh, I didn't do it properly. No. Wait. Yes, what is on my needle?
There's a lady on a surfboard on this bag.
I know, I'm going to show you the bag.
In a bikini.
I know, it's so cool. Can you do that?
No, hold on.
Oh, what was that? I don't understand that. Oh, is it a bro? We're bros.
Striding along we were, deep in conversation, when suddenly a lady appears. We're deep in conversation. Good morning!
So I'm going to draw a very bad sock now, so don't judge me on how this sock looks.
The standing postman comes to the door. I open the door. Oh, 2 for you, mate. Quick like that. And then he throws them at me.
So as I always do during any of my dyeing series, whatever.
Literally, like a day later, I've got the postman throwing parcels at me. I think I'd rather have the lady butting her way into my conversation. Welcome, everybody, to the Bakery Bears video show featuring the next exciting episode of My Perfect Socks.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, last time we launched Kay's brand new 12-part series. Episode 2 today. So it's a brand new scene, a brand new colourway, and more epic sock knitting.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I can't wait to find out what the scene is.
Neither can I.
It's so exciting.
What do you think it's going to be?
Who knows? Or dares to dream. Neil, we're so thrilled that you're enjoying it. And also, I'm very thrilled that there was an awful lot of people who said as soon as they saw the ident, the Bakery Bears Productions, that they knew what it was. Thank goodness, because
Isn't it brilliant? Loved it.
Well, you're very kind. Look, there was a couple of mistakes in that first episode. Look, that was all produced. December is a crazy time for us.
Yeah,
and we're not complaining remotely because we love it.
No.
But there's. Basically, with the Advent calendar, it's just insanity for the whole of December. And that was the last thing I did before I turned off the computer.
That's right. We filmed all that before Christmas.
And I had to get it all edited because the first show went out. And I missed one little edit where Kay was talking, where she said something and then stopped and then started again.
Yeah.
But then I completely missed the title screen. Now, not the title screen.
The end credits.
Prepare yourselves, folks.
My favourite blanket and not...
Prepare yourselves, because I've gone to town on the end credits, even though Kay didn't even notice.
She didn't even notice. I was just checking to make sure it said My Perfect Socks and not My Favourite Blanket.
And all the right things, of course. Look for all the little subtleties and wonderfulness in today's end credits, coming much later on in the show.
Yes.
Now, here's a question. Is it possible to be too polite?
Okay.
Well, no, is it?
Probably not. But I don't know, is it?
I think it can be.
All right.
As we experienced.
You tell me then.
No. You were with me when we experienced this.
Right.
Kay and I like to go for lovely walks. And we were out having a lovely walk, deep in conversation, as we often are. I mean, sometimes we're just strolling along, looking at the beautiful world. But then others, we might be deep in conversation. This particular day, deep in conversation, on an extremely sort of secluded side street. In our hometown.
Yeah.
Striding along we were, deep in conversation, when suddenly a lady appears. We're deep in conversation. Good morning, she says.
She did.
With a great big smile on her face. Neil.
Yeah, and we were like, oh, morning.
No, absolute.
Didn't know her.
No. All credit to her and everything. You know, it's lovely to be like that. And I'll be honest, I do try. I mean, it's funny when I'm out running. Because sometimes you're
in a zone, aren't you?
We are in a zone, but sometimes I get burned. And what I mean by that is I'll say hello to someone and they'll just ignore me. So you just think, oh, right, okay.
Some people do. Yeah, some people do.
So you just think, oh, right, okay, then I won't say hello. And then the next person you come by, I'll go, morning. And you're like, oh, I've blown it now.
What is the etiquette, you know?
Yeah, no.
If you're out for a walk... and people are saying morning.
The etiquette is this.
Do you say?
Of course you do.
Say morning first, or do you wait for someone else to say?
You're
good
thinking
morning?
too much about it.
I probably.
You walk along with your head up and a smile on your face, and you say good morning. But you certainly don't say good morning to someone deep in conversation.
No, I wouldn't do that. No.
If someone's like jabbering away, morning.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at each other talking like this, weren't we?
What? And
Yeah.
There she was. Now, look, I'm complaining about being too polite. I can tell you it wasn't too polite. Our standing postman.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Our standing postman.
Literally threw a parcel at you. Was it yesterday?
I can't remember. The standing postman comes to the door. I open the door. Oh, 2 for you, mate. Quick like that. And then he throws them at me. And no, I'm like...
Oh, right.
I was so shocked. All I could do was knock them up in the air and then catch them as they came down.
It was like a touchdown ball.
He turned and gone. I'm like, what's going on?
It's a funny thing, isn't it, etiquette and politeness, because I don't think we really live in a world where that's quite such a priority as it used to be.
When I'm out walking, I absolutely have got my head up and I'm smiling and I'm...
So am I.
But there's no... I'll come back to it again, and I'm not to belabor the point. I certainly would not force my way into someone else's conversation.
Oh, no, I wouldn't do that either.
But I would have a smile on my face.
Yeah.
And if someone made eye contact, I think that's
when I say good morning, if somebody looks at me.
If someone doesn't make eye contact, I wouldn't say good morning.
No, I don't
Because
either.
I would assume...
Because you don't know what's going on in that person's life,
Exactly.
do you know?
No.
And
you don't want force.
Yeah, but if someone's walking along and they make eye contact, then I will always say good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was certainly fun, though. It definitely made us smile.
It did.
And literally, like a day later, I've got the postman throwing parcels at me. I think I'd rather have the lady butting her way into my conversation than a postman chucking things at me. But look, anyway, this is a knitting show. We have so much wonderful things to show you because my 3 has become 1. I sound like the Spice Girls, don't I?
3 has become 1.
Yeah, my 2 sleeves and body are now 1.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And Kate, I mean...
I think I've got 3 new cast-ons actually this time.
It's a shame we're not counting them anymore.
We're not counting them now.
But we are counting cast-offs.
We are.
Oh, yes.
We do have some of those.
Speaking of cast-offs, without further ado, I shall say, Kay Jones, what's on your needles? That was a terrible link.
Why were you speaking of cast-offs?
I wasn't.
Okay.
I got confused.
Oh, dear.
I know.
It's all right. You're very old.
Well, it's true.
It's not your fault.
It's true.
Yes. What is on my needles?
There's a lady on a surfboard on this bag.
I know. I'm going to show you the bag.
In a bikini.
I know. It's so cool. So this is in a new little project bag, and I am mad in love with this project bag. And this particular maker, so this bag, I'll show you. It's from a company. It's Cambridge Stitchers. She's got, I believe it's an Etsy shop. I'm sure it's an Etsy shop. But look, she does...
You went all Sean Connery there.
Etsy shop.
She's got an Etsy shop. Thank goodness Sean, God rest his soul, doesn't have to say Etsy.
Yeah. But look at the patchwork. She does such beautiful patchwork. It's also patchwork on the back. I think a lot of these fabrics are Heather Ross. I love Heather Ross fabrics. They're quite difficult to get hold of, I find. But yeah, can you see the little surfboarding woman there? She's fabulous. And I love these little birds. Look at these little birds here. And the moon. It's such a beautifully made bag. And look at the little Progress Keeper thing that came with it. Bag charm. It's so cute. And it's just plain inside with a pocket. But yes, Cambridge Stitchers on Etsy, and she makes the most beautiful Christmas stockings as well that are patchwork, and bags of different sizes. This is her size medium. She's not a maker for like knitting project bags. I don't think she's really in the knitting world, not that I'm aware of. And these are sold as like cosmetic bags. But it makes the most perfect sock size bag. This is, like I said, is the size medium. And it came and I showed it to Bryony, and 10 minutes later she'd been on Etsy and bought herself one. Whoops, throwing it away. Yeah, she bought herself one for her makeup. So, yeah, and the lady's name is Annabelle, I think it is. But it came beautifully packaged. It was actually both mine and Bryony's came in boxes. You know, it wasn't flat packed. It was actually in a box wrapped in tissue paper. And it was a recycled box, you know. So all good, I would say, you know, my experience so far with this shop. And I'm definitely going to go back and buy more. I just love patchwork. And this bottom fabric, I think it said it was is it Robert Kaufman linen? And I think the colourway might be something like was it lingerie? I can't remember, but it's this sort of soft, delicate pink. Just gorgeous. So yeah, in this lovely new bag, I have a lovely new sock. Now, I think actually this will be a new design. And it's so weird how this came about, because I'd only said to Dan, I think, the day before I designed this, that I just felt like I was never going to design anything ever again, didn't I? And I do sometimes feel a bit like that.
You must have thought that, because what you said to me was that you felt like that it was time for a new sock design.
Yeah, I just felt like I hadn't put out a sock design in quite some time, and I think you've
probably gone away thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to think of something?
Yeah, and I think you just sort of put pressure on yourself. Oh, I certainly put pressure on myself, and there's absolutely no pressure required at all. If something happens, it happens. And it actually did. I think it was the following day or the day after or something. And I wanted to knit a pair of socks, the first pair for my sock stash this year, because I've been wearing my sock stash socks now, the ones that I knit last year, and it's just been so fabulous to go into my drawer and think, oh, I've not worn those ones yet, because I made 12 pairs, if you remember, last year, and it's just been amazing. My favourite pair so far, actually, you might remember them, it's a pair I knitted with Eden Cottage Yarns Milburn 4-ply. It was pink. They were early on last year, I knit them. And then I put in a panel of self-striping from London House Yarns. Do you remember? It's the Yule Ball, which I do have a full skein of behind me. But it was just a bit of leftover, and I put it just over the foot. I've been wearing those a ton, and they've been in the washer a few times, and they're just lovely. That yarn, I don't think it's sold as a sock yarn. I think it's like wool and silk blend. It's just, really lovely. I'm really enjoying wearing them. But anyway, this particular sock, I've finished one sock. And what I wanted to knit, I just wanted to knit a sock in a sort of plain yarn, in a solid yarn, but I wanted to put in some kind of pretty texture pattern. So I just had to play around with some textures and charted something out, and it looked kind of cool when I charted it. And I showed the chart to Dan, and he was like, oh, that looks cool. I said, yeah, I'm going to swatch it. And I've got the swatch in here, actually. So, yeah, I was going to knit it in pink, and this is the pink that I pulled out of my stash. It's a Cascade Heritage, and the colourway is Crocus. Isn't it beautiful? Because I wanted a pair of pink socks to start me off. So I pulled this out. But then I swatched it with just a bit of leftover Cascade Heritage that I'd got in my stash. I just thought, right, I'll use the same base just to see what it looks like, but I'll just pull out a bit of leftovers. So I swatched it in this colour, which is Coral Dusk Cascade Heritage. And, I loved it. The swatch came out so beautiful. And I thought, oh, do you know what? I kind of want to knit it in this coral. Have I got enough? And I weighed it, and I'd got 60 grams. So yes, I'd got enough, because these are just short socks. So anyway, I've knit a whole sock, so I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, I just love it so much. So here's the sock. So you can see I put in this texture pattern. It's just a knit pearl texture. Sometimes, if you catch it at the right angle, the sort of pearl bumps form like a crisscrossy lattice work, but then other times it just looks like a sort of string of sweets going down. And it's just so pretty. Isn't it lovely? So I just did a 1x1 rib, because that one fit the best with it. Heel flap gusset, turn, all of that goodness, and an umbrella toe. So this is my little swatch. When I swatch for socks, generally I cast on 32 stitches. I do like half the standard 64, because that allows me to swatch quickly. So you can see the little swatch, isn't it cute? It was when I did this and I saw the colour, and I thought, oh, I just really want to knit them in that. So that's what I'm using. It's the Cascade Heritage in Coral Dusk. No, Dusky Coral. It's number 5737. The other reason, I'll be honest, the other reason that I wanted to use this one is because this is an older Cascade Heritage. right? This is a new one. I don't know if this is the case, but I know they changed where they get their yarn produced. I think there was some big fire or something, and they changed where they produce the yarn, and their yarn is now produced in India, I believe. Or is it China? I can't remember. It was China and it was India, and I can't remember which way around it switched. I just feel like the older yarn is a bit plumper, maybe, than the newer one. I don't know if I'm imagining it. I feel like I'm in an opal yarn zone thing again. So I don't know if I'm just making this up in my head. But when I swatched with the coral, it just was so lovely and it felt plump and round and nice. And then when I wound this pink, it just didn't quite feel the same. But yeah, so I just decided to do them in the coral, and luckily I had enough. Isn't it just the most gorgeous colour? And that texture's so nice. And it's really, although, it's not complicated at all. And when I first charted it out, I thought, what's this going to be like to knit? And do you know what? It's fabulous. I've got it kind of memorised. You can read your knitting, largely you can read your knitting. All I need to do is just glance at the row on and I'm away. It's got a really nice rhythm. And I think it just looks beautiful, doesn't it, in a solid yarn. And I think the reason I wanted to do it in a solid is I don't often knit socks in solids like this, but I know that a lot of people really just prefer socks in solid colours rather than sort of madly variegated or speckled or whatever. And I just think it's nice to add a bit of sort of variety. I mean, I love all sock yarn. I'm not, well, apart from the really pooly stuff, but I don't need to tell you that, do I? But yeah, generally speaking, I love all sock yarn, and I think it's got a place in everybody's sock knitting. What the solids is what I mean. Because I think, especially if you may be knitting gift socks, I think it's always nice just to do solids, because you don't really know, do you, whether the person you're giving them to will like anything madly variegated. But anyway, I'm waffling now. But all that to say, yeah, I really love this sock. And I've got a couple of names in mind for it. I'm not fully decided yet, but I need to get the second one cast on. I'm all ready to cast the second one on. This one knits up in no time, really, at all, because it's just this short leg, which I really enjoy. But of course, you can knit the leg however long you want. That's entirely up to you. I just really like this short length. It suits me. And it was just a joy to knit. I just absolutely loved it. And this texture's just so, so pretty. I'll take it off and just show you sort of over the top of the foot.
I think there's a lot to be said for rhythm. And I think that,
Isn't it lovely?
People might not fully realise that we tend to remember things as human beings. You tend to remember things in patterns.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense then that any pattern that you knit that's got a bit of rhythm to it are the ones which naturally... And that's the whole reason. I will have spoken about this at length before over, many episodes, and certainly on my Self-Contained Knitter show, how the knitting appealed to me because of those rhythms, with me being a drummer. And so I totally get what you mean when you say it's got a nice rhythm. And I think when someone says, it flew off the needles, I'd be willing to bet. I mean, sometimes something flies off the needles when it's lovely yarn and you're like, I want to really knit that and see how it knits up. But I would guess that most times it's because the pattern had rhythm and it knit itself, because you don't have to think about it.
No, I mean, it really did. And the length of the repeat as well was really nice. It meant you could sort of sit down, do a full repeat, and you've made quite a bit of progress, which felt really nice. So I'll keep you updated on these, and I'll hopefully next time maybe I will have come up with a name. Like I said, I do have a few things going around my head. We were talking about it the other day, weren't we?
Yeah.
On what I'm going to call them. But yeah, really, really love these socks. Going to get the second one cast on, so hopefully we'll have a finished pair for next time. Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your needles?
Look at this.
Something happened. It's over.
No, there's no way you're going to be able to undo that.
No, it's that kind of spin thing going on, isn't it? Do you know when it
when you
does that?
Yeah. And then it just Yeah.
It's the way that it's been spun, I think. It's not even spun this, though, is it? Well, it is
must have
spun.
been this. Yeah.
It's just a single ply, so yeah, it is. Yeah, anyway.
When you combine that with Let Lopi and you combine that with the way that I knit colour work, it creates a sort of steel wool effect on the yarn that, you know, you're finishing and moving on, and then you've got to like unpick it, and oh my goodness, it's an absolute nightmare. But I don't mind, because the finished fabric, should I say, looks just wonderful. It's my jumper, and it's the Godi, and it's Let Lopi yarn, as I'm sure you will have gathered, and now it's my favourite part of all. It's all joined. It's my absolute favourite part, is joining the sleeves to the body and then getting going and getting knitting. All the processes of knitting a jumper are fun, but that one in particular is definitely that sort of turning the heel sock type. I think any time you take a number of things and you make them one thing, I mean, that always feels like super clever, especially when it works. It's really fun as well, because, you know, you're dealing with a high number of stitches, and so you can do a certain amount of double checking. But at some point, without, you know, spending 5 hours counting everything 3 times, at some point you've just got to think, I'm just going to stick in a load of markers at the key points, and I'm just going to go for it, which is what I did. And I did it just the other day, and when I got around and the numbers were right, I was like, yes! I was so thrilled.
This colour's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, when you do that, it makes me panic, because...
Why?
Well, no, because you held it up high, so it looked really short. But of course, that is under my arms.
That's under your arms.
Yeah.
You did measure it.
Well, yeah. I've knitted a few of these now. Well, look, you've got me. Yeah, it's fine. It's like, it's absolutely fine. Thanks very much. I've knitted a few of these now. So, and it's not just. It's any. I
love this. This colour's good for me.
What I feel super confident in is the yoked construction. You know, I now can make that fit exactly as I want it to fit. And how do I want it to fit? Fairly figure-hugging. Long-ish, but not stupidly long. You know, I like it to go probably a couple of inches below my belt line, so that I can bend over. And
it doesn't ride up.
I can't stand that. If I get shirt exposed when I bend over, I really, really don't like that, because then I get cold, and that's rubbish. Because I wear these exclusively outdoors, and we've had some cold weather recently. And my goodness, these things are just the business.
Did we say on the last show? I don't know if we did.
No, it wasn't the last show, because I wouldn't have seen this since way before Christmas.
No, so Dan got to his last ball of this main colour, which is Brick Heather, I believe. Let Lopi Brick Heather. You got to the last ball and you were still knitting the second sleeve, and I was like, I don't know how that's even happened, because I always order an extra ball to what the pattern says. But you looked everywhere and couldn't find any more.
No.
Luckily, Wool Warehouse had some. I didn't order the first lot from Wool Warehouse. I actually ordered it from Iceland itself, not...
The grocers?
Not the frozen food shop. That would be cool if they actually sold Let Lopi, because they were called Iceland. So I thought, I'm not...
Suggest it to them.
I thought, I'm not ordering from the country Iceland just for a couple of balls. But Wool Warehouse had the same colour. It's obviously a different dye lot. So we risked it and ordered what they had, which was 3 balls. I didn't know how much Dan would need. And it came, and it's fine, actually. I don't think you can really tell the difference with the colours.
No, you can't. And what's funny is I think I'm probably going to need half one ball.
I know. So they had 3 balls left, 3 skeins left. I thought, I'll just get them, because they're only like, what are they, £3?
Yeah, splash out.
And of course, he's still on the one that was running out, but you will definitely need another ball.
Yeah, because on this section alone, I don't think I'm going to make it, because I've got another round to do with 1 stitch in each of the gaps. Okay. And I reckon I'll run out of this.
You won't for 1 round, darling.
Okay, cool. Oh, well, that's fun.
Is that all you need?
No. There's more.
It comes in further up here, doesn't it?
Because it finishes off at the top.
That's more than enough for 1 round.
Cool. I didn't know, because it's quite a long round, of course, and I'm carrying the yarn.
No, you'll be fine. But I think the colour's absolutely beautiful.
I can't wait to get this finished, and I can't wait to get this on. It's marvellous. Definitely. So yes, it's the Godi, and it is Let Lopi, and I'm knitting it on these.
He's so helpful, isn't he? I think they're chow goose, because you normally do.
Yeah.
They're chow goose, and they are...
They'll be 4.5, I reckon.
4.5, I think. The size... Is the size... Oh, there it is. 4.5 millimetre.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
What else is on your needles?
So I've got another new project in another new project bag. This bag was a gift from a friend at Christmas. Isn't it? And isn't it lovely? So this is all Liberty. And I can't remember. There was a tag attached to the zip. And it was Liberty something was on the Liberty Crafts or something. I can't even remember. So I am sorry, I can't tell you where this was from, and it doesn't have a label inside. But these are all Liberty fabrics. Oh, it's so pretty. And it's that old patchwork thing again. I'm just obsessed with anything patchwork. It's just a gorgeous bag, and it's got this beautiful sage green zip. And the inside is that lovely green too. It's a really, really lovely bag. So in this bag is another new project. So I've been working on this for a couple of weeks, and I wanted to get to the stage of just being able to try it on just to make sure the sizing was okay, and it is, which I'm thrilled about. So you might remember for our advent calendar last year, I can say now, which is weird, I designed a hat and mitts, a sort of coordinating set. And one of the biggest sort of design elements of those was that they had folded brim. So the hat had a folded brim and the mitts had a folded cuff. And I really love that. I really love doing it. I find it really fun to fold it and attach, I do it as you go. I don't sew it down afterwards. I sort of knit 2 stitches together, you know what I mean? And I just find that really fun. And it struck me that it would make a really brilliant gift hat. That kind of just plain knitting, because it's all knitting, no pearls. And I thought, right, okay, so what I'm going to try and do is create like a DK worsted weight version that I can knit lots of through this year, and then they can be gifts at the end of the year. So I thought, great, right. So I had to think about stitch count and things like that, and needle size. And I was going to use this yarn, Malabrigo Rios, because I've got quite a few skeins in my stash. This one is Indicita. So I was going to use Malabrigo Rios, but I just suddenly had a thought, well, let's try it with fingering weight double, because I've got tons of just single skeins of fingering weight in my stash, and it would be really great if I could just plough through a few of those this year and get them out of my stash and get some gifts made. So I thought, right, I'll just pull out a skein to do like a trial run. So I chose this one. I really like this yarn, but it wasn't one of my favourites. So I thought, right, okay, I'll use this one because I think it will make a brilliant gift for someone. That sounds terrible, doesn't it?
I really like it. It wasn't one of my favourites, so I'm going to knit it and give it to someone else.
I know, that sounds awful. That I don't want this colour, so I'm going to give it to someone else.
Well, no, that's what everybody does. Oh, come on, that's what everybody does.
That's not how I meant it, and that was not how I intended it. But we all have favourites, don't we?
Yes.
It's a beautiful colourway. Right, I'll tell you the yarn first, and I'll tell you why I'm saying it's not one of my favourites. So it's Bird Street yarn, and the colourway is Confetti Cake. And when I ordered this, obviously I saw a photo, but I must admit, when I ordered it and I saw the name, Confetti Cake, I thought, oh, it's going to be full of really pretty speckles, because confetti cake, as I understand it, is like a sponge cake with like hundreds and thousands all through it. And they're all kind of those rainbow sprinkly sort of colours. So I just thought it would be full of all little specks of pretty colours. Now, it does have specks of pretty colours, but to me, it's not confetti cake. It's really just 2 colours that I can see. There's like a teal blue and then a sort of burgundy-ish colour that's speckled. So I'll show you the hat that I've knit so far, and then you'll be able to see. So you can see the speckles are sort of like a blue and this sort of purplish burgundy. It's really, really pretty, and I think it makes a brilliant wintry colour. If I was going to name this colourway, I think I would centre around something, wintry, winter walk, or I don't know. So it's really, really pretty, isn't it? And yeah, the sizing, actually, I have put this on my head and it's great. And I think I'm at the point of the decreases now because I don't want this to really have slouch. I just want this to be quite a fitted beanie, but I want it to cover, well, certainly cover my ears and anyone else's ears that I give these to. And it's working out really well. I'm using 4mm.
It's a perfect gift colourway because if it had been like you wanted it,
neutral,
it might have been too much for some people.
Yeah.
Whereas if you give that to someone...
It just reads as like a cream hat, doesn't it?
That looks like a hat that you might pick up in a shop somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I wanted it to look like because I know... You know, if you give a knitted gift to another knitter, they obviously fully appreciate that it's a hand-knitted thing and it's very well received, isn't it? If you give something hand-knitted to somebody who's not a knitter, I don't know, some people are a bit sniffy about it, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think if I could make something that looked kind of shop-made, that sounds terrible because... We all know...
No, it isn't. It isn't because what we have to realise...
We all know that this is better than one you've bought from the shop.
Yeah,
but
it
you
is.
understand what I'm saying, don't you?
Well, some people might not because I know some people get very protective over knitting as an art form. But I think
quite right.
Quite right. But what we have to remember is most non-knitters look down their nose at it.
I
And
think
it's
a
our
lot
job.
of people do.
It's our job to ensure that any gift that we give them makes them go, oh my goodness.
That's hand knitted. I can't believe you've made that.
And then they might even think, oh, I might try
I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it's just this plain hat with the folded brim, and doesn't that look lovely? So I'll show you the inside. It's so neat the way that it's attached. So again, I think, you know, if you were to inspect this and turn it inside out, you might think it was machine made, but it's just lovely and so simple and straightforward and just like a perfect kind of do you know, if you've not got brain power or anything like that and you just want to do something with your hands, this is a great thing because it's just all knits. All you've got to do is fold that brim over and attach it, knit two together all the way around with the cast on stitches, knit up some more and then do some decreases and you've got yourself a beautiful hat. When I started knitting this, I thought, oh, will I have enough? Because obviously I'm holding it double. So I was concerned I wouldn't have enough, but I am going to have plenty because I'm just about at the decreases and I've got probably, there might even be 20 grams in each of these balls. So I'm easily going to do it. So this size, like I said, it fits me really well. But if this works, maybe I will work out a couple of the sizes, like a small. I would class this as a medium, so it fits my head, and I would say I've got an average head. So I'll probably see if I could work out two of the sizes, a small and a large, and maybe pop the pattern out, you never know. And I just really love it, and I'm really looking forward to getting this one finished now and then digging out another skein, because they're all going to be gifts. These are all going to be gifts, but I would like one. So whether I'll do that one next, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so it's not got a name or anything like that. I'm just, at the moment, it's just my folded brim hat. And I'm really, really enjoying it. So yeah, 4mm, because I wanted this to be nice and not super dense, but I wanted it to have a nice sort of quite tight gauge, because another thing you don't generally see, do you, with things that you might buy in a shop, is you don't have things with a really loose gauge, especially hats. And I think hats with a tighter gauge is good because of the warmth factor. But you do get super warm ears because it's doubled for the folded brim. So yeah, really lovely project. Can't wait to get this one finished and another one on the needles.
Cool. So I'm knitting a pair of socks and I'm using the yarn which Kay dyed in the first episode of my perfect socks. How lucky am I? These are the frosted socks.
Yes.
Oh yes. And look, Kay, look, it's perfect. Look at this. See? No, come on, that is perfect, isn't it?
The colourway actually is beautiful.
The colour is beautiful, but you can't see any mistakes on there, can you?
Dan's got his finger over quite a large ladder in the rib.
Oh.
But we've spoke about it.
We have, yes. Yes, we spoke about
He's
it.
been reprimanded because if he'd have come to me halfway through,
firmly.
If he'd have come to me halfway through the rib and said, "Look, this is happening," I'd have said, "Right, look, let's sort this out." But he didn't. He finished the rib and then said, "Look."
And then I was disciplined. What I like to do when I'm knitting a sock is I like to sort of try some things out.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if there might be nice if there was a bigger gap between, but then I realised there wasn't, and I went back to what was written in the pattern. I might have done an extra round.
Dan likes to modify.
No, I don't though. I don't. Let's be honest. I don't like to modify. I like to knit things as the pattern. I just get confused. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's fine, isn't it? You know.
But what she said for the first time, which is completely true, and I'm so grateful for that, is you did say you're doing your best. You did.
Did I?
You did. And
That doesn't sound condescending at all, does it?
No, well, I don't care if it was condescending. I knew you meant it.
I did. I said, look, you're doing your absolute best, so it's lovely. I didn't mean it, you know.
I took it as that, and that's all that mattered to me.
There's the colourway from the first. So this is, do you have the shoe books? Isn't it pretty? And there's the pattern. Why?
So I just quoted a Curtis Steiger song.
Oh, you did?
And it made me
we've been
think,
listening to Curtis Steigers, haven't we?
It made me think of our Knitability editor Jen's husband Scott. I don't know if you watched her vlogs at Christmas.
Yeah,
but Scott always makes a bit of an appearance.
He does.
And I've just been imagining Scott singing I Wonder Why by Curtis Steigers. I can just imagine him having a voice like whiskey poured over hot coals. Just smooth and gorgeous and warm. And Scott had never heard I Wonder Why, and now he really likes it.
And now he really likes it.
Yeah, you can't beat a bit of
Because he plays the
Steigers.
sax.
He does.
We discovered, which is very cool and exciting, isn't it?
I know. We're a one-man band. He can go on the sax and I'll go on the drums.
On drums?
Yeah. Strange duo.
Is it? I don't know.
I've never heard of a duo with sax and drums.
Right.
But I'm sure, you know, the sort of jazzers, you know, the back in
Jazzers?
the day. Yeah.
Oh, is that those little chocolate sweets?
I never liked those.
Oh, I did. I like jazzies.
No, but you see, I think of...
It's white chocolate buttons with hundreds and thousands on. Absolutely delicious.
No, I
can't eat them anymore, but, you know.
Well, white chocolate, you'd probably be okay, but...
Yeah, I do like white chocolate. It's not actually chocolate, is it? Because there's no chocolate.
But you stopped having coffee and you were able to have it again. So,
yeah, I do.
But let's not go down the chocolate road.
No, I do have mild coffees now and I'm all right. I'm not going back down the chocolate route. My body does not need chocolate.
No.
No.
That's funny.
Let's face it, nobody needs chocolate. I definitely don't need chocolate.
That's very true. So it's the frosted socks, and I'm really enjoying knitting them.
So they've got like a panel. Lovely. It's really pretty. They've got a panel, a lace panel down each side of the sock. But it looks perfect in this yarn, I've got to say.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with how it's knitting up.
So am I. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's the shoe books from last time.
So it's a brand new cast on for me, this.
Yay!
Yeah, no, but it doesn't count, of course, because we're just counting cast-offs.
Oh, yeah, I'm confused. Oh, gosh. It's rubbish when you change things. You can't remember what you're doing.
I know. Thank goodness I remembered. So, yes, frosted socks.
They're
lovely
beautiful,
yarn.
beautiful.
Yes, hopefully I shall be past the heel the next time I show them. Because I think I'm close to the heel now.
Oh, are they for me?
Yeah.
You are definitely then, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll finish this repeat.
Between sort of 20 and 30 rounds I like for my cuff. So the last thing on my needles is yet another new cast on. And actually this one I only cast on yesterday. And I've knit loads because it's so fun. So I was asking Bryony a couple of weeks ago what socks she would like next. And we had a look through my stash. And she chose this yarn. And I wound it up at the time and put it in my basket under my desk. And then I forgot about it. And then I was getting some prizes out of that basket. We're going to do prizes in Endy Bits, by the way, for our sock stash for last year. So I was getting those prizes out and I found it. I saw it and I was like, it was all wound up. And I said to Bryony, oh my gosh, this is that yarn. And she's like, oh, I really want those. So I said, right, do you know what? I'm going to cast them on. So I cast them on yesterday and I've finished the leg on one of them. But I wanted, because this colourway is beautiful, but it's very sort of spring-like. So I wanted a sort of summery spring-like bag. So I put it into one of my Beach Days bags. This was a project for Summer of Stitching 2 years ago now. So I designed this cross stitch, we cross stitched it together, and then we made a bag out of it. So I thought that was a perfect bag to put this project in. And the yarn I'm using, actually, it's a space-themed yarn, a Star Trek-themed yarn, although I don't think you would know it to look at it at all. To me, it looks like very spring-like. But the yarn is from Fab Funky Fibres. She's just up the road from us, really, here in the north of England. And this colourway is Space, the Final Frontier. And it's 2 50-gram matching self-striping and a mini. I think that's how I bought it. Is that what it says? I can't remember, because I know that she does 50-gram skeins as well as, like, I don't know if she does 100 as well. I may have bought 2 50-gram skeins is what I'm saying, and then a mini. I can't remember. But in any case, that's what I've got. I've got 2 50 grams of self-striping and a 20-gram mini. So I think what actually I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I've got another needle first of all. I've kind of run out of sock needles because I've got that much stuff on the go. But I'm going to see if I've got another sock needle, and I might get the other one on the go. So this is the yarn. It's absolutely beautiful, I've got to say. It's a mix of all of these it's like pastel highlighters. This is so funny. I took a picture actually. Yesterday, Bryony was downstairs doing some uni work and she got some highlighters out, and I brought this sock down to take a photo of it, and the colours in these pastel highlighters exactly matched the sock. So that was funny. So we've got, all these pastel sort of colours, but then with black thrown in, black and a bit of white. And it's just knitting up so fabulously. I'm just loving it. So here's the sock, and is this not like the prettiest thing? So we've got pink, mint and lemon, and then you go into black, white, black, lilac, black, and then back to pink, mint, lemon. And it's just, it's surprising, you know. I was knitting it and the ball was in my bag and I wasn't really looking, and I was just like, as the yarn was coming out, and I went, oh, I get black now, and then I thought, oh, it'll be that lilac, but no, it was white, and then black again, and then lilac, and then black, and then you're back to the pastel things. It's a bit like Licorice All Sorts now I look at it, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's reminding me of Licorice All Sorts. But aren't the colours just so spring-like and pretty? But I'm not getting the Star Trek theme, I've got to say. But, you know, does that really matter? I don't think it does. We've got black in there for space, haven't we? What more do you want? So, yeah, I think I'm at the point of the heel now. I'm going to put in my butterfly heel. And what I'm going to do... Dan's laughing at me because I'm trying to connect this with Star Trek and failing.
Well, I think that purple was on outfits.
Do you?
Back in the day.
Right.
This definitely looks 60s-ish.
Yeah, I suppose it does.
You know, sort of zany and out there.
Maybe.
So...
Maybe. I don't really mind.
I think it's
really pretty, and Bryony wants it because it's got a Star Trek. I think the colours are
taken from that specific picture, which we obviously can't see the colours of.
Oh, because it's black and white.
Yeah, but that's Pike, isn't it?
That's Pike. Original Pike, isn't it?
Don't tell him your name, Pike. That's a different programme.
Different programme?
Yes.
People in England... That's what we mean.
That's what we need.
Oh gosh, we watched some Vicar of Dibley over Christmas, didn't we?
Brilliant.
Right.
Yeah.
Bryony had never watched Vicar of Dibley, and we'd not seen it for years, so we put on a few episodes. Well, me and Dan were
Bryony,
just
of course, is our 19-year-old daughter, and she's like, "What is this tripe?"
Yeah, me and Dan were like rolling about laughing, and Bryony's just like this.
It's just not funny. What was lovely about it was like slow TV.
Comedy is lost on the youth of today. That's all I'm going to say.
There was space in this programme. You know, it didn't feel rushed.
No.
It just felt like what it was, set in a country village in England.
Yeah.
And so it's lovely, lovely to watch.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch more of it.
We are going to watch some more of it because it's just so light-hearted and funny, and Dawn French is just a comic genius.
She'd be a brilliant vicar too.
She would be a brilliant vicar, I think, yeah. So, what I'm going to do with the heel yeah, I'm going to put in my butterfly heel, and I've got this lilac. So the heel is going to sit. I'm just at the point of getting to the lilac again now. So the heel will sit like in between the lilac. So I think that will look really cool. And then I'll just carry on all the way down the foot. So yeah, I might cast on the second one because I've got the other 50 grams here. So if I have got another needle, I might cast that on, get the leg done on the second one, and then carry on from there. We'll see anyway. But really, just, you know, really nice project, really good yarn. I've used Fab Funky Fibres before. I used it for my fairground socks, and the colour I used actually sort of similar to this with the black in there. It was Big Top. And when Bryony saw this, she said, oh, that looks like the fairground sock yarn. And I think it's a similar sort of sequence, but just different colours. Just lovely, just lovely. So, yeah, lovely self-stripe. Oh, I can't say that. Lovely self-striping socks on the go.
Right, Kay is back with her brand new sock knitting odyssey. This year, she set herself the challenge of creating her perfect socks.
Yeah.
That means a wonderful inspiration, gorgeous colourways, and of course, lots of lovely sock knitting. This is my perfect socks.
It's a brand new year, so it's time for a new challenge. I want to knit myself the perfect pair of socks. To do that, I'm going to need yarn, and lots of it. The inspiration will be one of my favourite films. So together, let's create my perfect socks. Welcome back, everybody, to my perfect socks. I'm so excited to be back with you so soon after we did the first one. It's just really exciting for us to be able to film a number of these one after the other. And thank you all so much. I've got to say that first of all. Thank you all so much for all your positive comments about the first episode. I was just absolutely blown away that you're all enjoying it so much. And I've seen lots of you casting on your own perfect socks. So that's just so exciting. But today what we're going to be doing is we're dyeing up the next colourway. And of course, as I said in the first episode, all of these colourways are inspired by the film You've Got Mail. You might have noticed from the first episode that I'm not actually dyeing these in chronological order with the film. And that's just because I wanted them to flow nicely one into the other. I didn't want to have, for example, a red followed by maybe a muted speckled. You know, I wanted it to sort of naturally flow. So that's why I'm doing them out of sequence with the film. But you know, I don't think that really matters. I think we all, or certainly the feedback I've had is that a lot of you know the film really well. So I think in a way it's nice that you don't know what to expect because you don't even know where I'm going to jump to in the film, which I think is fun. So I'm going to tell you where I'm going to jump to in the film today. And actually, it's the very last scene of the film. And it's the scene at the end where she goes to the garden at the end to meet this mysterious man, and of course it turns out to be Tom Hanks, which is what she wanted. So the colourway name is actually called the sort of line that she says in that situation, and she says, I wanted it to be you so badly. So that's the colourway that we're going to be dyeing up today, with of course a coordinating mini as well, because we're going to be doing that through the whole of the series. So it's time now for me to sit down and have a little chat and just tell you exactly about what the precise inspiration was for today's colourway. So here we are, cozied up now, just to have a little chat about my inspiration for today's colourway. So as I said before, this actually comes right at the end of the film. It's the very last scene of the film. And what we've got going on is Kathleen, Meg Ryan's character, has come to Riverside Park to meet this mystery man that she's been emailing. In her heart, she really wants it to be Tom Hanks. So she's going and she's thinking, oh gosh, what's going to happen? So she gets to this park and there's like this beautiful flower garden, and it must be, I'm guessing it's got to be summer, because it's sunny, there's all these flowers out, she's got a little light dress on, so I was saying it's got to be summer, I would think. And the flower garden is just packed full of every colour of beautiful flower. So I thought, well, let's focus on the flowers really, because what they're wearing actually, because at first I thought, oh, what's she wearing and what's he wearing? But they're both wearing really neutral colours. Like Kathleen's got on a dress, it's really pretty, but it's sort of like just a beigey, mushroomy colour with a little matching cardigan. And Tom Hanks's character has got on just like shades of brown, so I thought, that's not very interesting. So let's focus on the flowers behind them. And really, when I sort of thought about that, I thought, well, I could just go for any colours, couldn't I? I could choose any, because there was literally flowers of every colour. I thought, okay, let's have some pink. So let's go down the pink and peach and a bit of like lilac-y colours, because they're very common, aren't they, in the sort of flower world. So today's colour uses pink, it uses a purpley lilac, and it uses gold, because we're not going to use a peach dye, we're going to make a peach dye, which I think is always nice to do that. I always find I prefer the peach shades when I make it myself, because some people might not like peach, but I actually think if you find the right shade of peach, then if you like pink, you'll like peach, if you know what I mean, because you can make it very pink leaning, or you can make it more orangey gold sort of leaning, which I think is brilliant. So yeah, we're going to make our own sort of peach shade today, and then we're going to add in pink, we're going to add in lilac, and then we're going to finish it off with a little flourish of speckles, which will be really fun. So that is, I wanted it to be you so badly, because it's such a long line, I have to think every time I say it. But yes, that's the colourway today. And then the coordinating mini, once again, I'm not planning that. I'm just going to see how I feel once we've dyed up that main colour, and then decide from there which of those 3 dye colours is going to be the focus for the mini, which I'm finding that really fun, and it's quite nice not to plan, because I am a planner. I do like to be very precise, and I like to know what I'm doing, and I like to practice, and I like to get things down to exactly how I want it. But just allowing myself that little bit of freedom just with that mini skein has been really nice. So I'm excited to see what colour I decide to do for the coordinating, which is really fun. So yes, it's time now to have a look at everything that we are going to need to dye up our beautiful colourway. I wanted it to be you so badly. Okay, so here is everything that we're going to need each time we dye our yarns. So first of all, I've got my saucepans that we dye in. These are stainless steel. I've used, if you've watched me before, you've seen me use these many times. But yeah, it's a stainless steel pan. I like the ones that have 2 handles because they're nice and easy to move around when they've got heavy water in. I'm going to use two pans this time because we're dyeing 2 different colourways each time. So I will say this right at the very beginning. all of your equipment that you use for dyeing, you must only ever use it for dyeing. Don't use it for anything else, because the dye powders are toxic. Okay, so pack it all in a box, keep it in your garage, whatever, that's what I do, and then just bring it out to dye your yarns. So 2 pans, and these are, I think these are classed as like casserole pans in this country. I'm not sure exactly what size they are. I haven't ever measured them, but it's that big. Just a nice big roomy stainless steel saucepan. You want something that's not going to stain. We then need our citric acid. So citric acid is our mordant. The mordant is the sort of chemical, if you like, that makes the dye permanently stick to the yarn. So in my case, I'm going to use citric acid, which I would say is the most common way these days that dyers, get their mordant. Some dyers use vinegar. People like Malabrigo, Madeline Tosh, their yarns always smell vinegary when you get them. That's because they use vinegar instead of citric acid. But citric acid is easy to get. It's a food safe product. It's basically the stuff that goes into fizzy sweets if you ever eat fizzy sweets. So we've then got some gloves. I've got some thicker rubber gloves which are more heat proof, and then I've just got these thin sort of surgical gloves. I prefer these when I'm actually dyeing because I can feel things better than the thicker gloves, but I use these ones when I'm sort of in the water, when it's a bit hot. I've got a mask, of course. You must always, always, always use a mask when you are dyeing your yarns. I've got my big mixing spoon. Where would I be without my big mixing spoon? And a jug. This is just one of these cheap plastic jugs that you can get anywhere, and I use this for when I make a liquid solution with my dyes. I've got some old tea towels, and then underneath here I've got a piece of oilcloth, just a spare bit that I had from making those sort of wipe clean tablecloths, and this will keep your work surfaces lovely and clean and dye free. And then finally, in my little pot here, I've got some brushes. So just some normal children's paint brushes, cheap as anything. You can get them in the pound shop usually. So some lovely paint brushes. And then my measuring spoon. So this is a 1/8 of a teaspoon measuring spoon. I think they're classed as like scientific measuring spoons, these ones. But this is stainless steel. Don't think I've ever had any other teaspoon. And you just wash all these things thoroughly afterwards, ready for the next time. So we've got our brushes, we've got our measuring spoon. And then finally, we're going to be looking at our yarns. So each time we dye in this series, I'm going to be dyeing the same yarns. So in my bowl here, I've already got soaking in just some water, warm water from the tap, and a scoop of my citric acid, which is about a tablespoon. I never measure amounts with citric acid, and I'm honestly not sure of the exact official requirements. I'm not even sure there are any official requirements, but all I've ever done is bunged in like a scoop. These things usually come with a scoop, and I'm guessing it's about a tablespoon. Does it say on the back? No, it doesn't. But I just put in a scoop when I'm soaking my yarns, and then you'll see each time I dye a batch of yarn, I put in another scoop. So in my bowl soaking, we've got fingering weight yarn, because this is for a lovely perfect pair of socks. So we've got a fingering weight yarn. Here I've got 100 grams, just one single 100 gram skein. And then here I've got two 20 gram mini skeins. So this is an 85-15 base, and it's a 4-plied yarn. So it's nice and round and plump, it's soft and bouncy. This is the base that I've been dyeing on for quite some time now. You can get lots of other fingering weight bases. The standard one is that sort of 75-25. That a lot of a lot of independent dyers use. And that's very nice. I use that a lot to knit socks. But when I'm dyeing it myself, I just prefer this base. It's a bit more kind of luxurious. It's just squishy and lovely. So 85-15 base, there's 400 meters per 100 grams. And then we've got the two 20-gram minis. So that's going to be what we're going to be dyeing on each time. So there we go. That's us all ready, and that's all of the things that we're going to use every single time we dye our yarn. So now it's time to have a look at the dye colours that we're going to be using for today's colourway. So we're going to be using 3 colours, and I'm actually using, what am I using? I'm using 2 from Landscape Dyes and 1 from Jacquard. So as I always do during any of my dyeing series, whatever, I'm going to tell you the name of the dye colour, and I will describe the colour, and then if you want to substitute it in with something that you might already have, you can do that. So the first colour that we're starting with today is a really bright one. We've used this colour before and it's fabulous, and it's from Landscape Dyes and it's Galar, which I discovered, and I should have realised this actually because there's a great big bird on the front of the pot, but a galar is a bird, an Australian bird I believe. So yeah, it's a bright, hot fuchsia pink. You know, you want to find the brightest, hottest pink that you can, and that's what Galar is. We've then got another Landscape Dyes, and this is Dusk. I've used this one I think several times before. This is one of my favourite Landscape Dyes. It's a beautiful dusky purple, sort of slightly mauvish I would say. But yeah, Dusk is beautiful, beautiful shade, so dusky purple. And then the final one today is the return of Gold Ochre. It had to happen, didn't it? And we've got Jacquard Gold Ochre number 636. And that is just as it sounds. It's that gold, yellow gold, however you want to interpret that. But it's quite a bright gold actually. I mean, I use it a lot in mixes and various different formats, but in its pure form it is quite a bright gold colour. Beautiful. So that's our 3 dye colours for today. So it is time now, of course, to get on and dye up today's colourway, which is, I wanted it to be you so badly. Okay, so in my pot I've got about couple of inches of water, not too much, and then I've got another scoop of citric acid in there. That's heating up nicely, so I'm going to get my yarn into the pot. There we go. Give it a squidge and a bit of a shake, and then into the water. So as we always do when I drop the yarn in, just give it a nice move around. Distribute that yarn really well to get a good surface area. So this colourway is going to be variegated, but as we did last time, I'm going to be making up liquid dyes, but we're going to do it a bit more freely this time, if you like. Once we've got the sort of variegated yarn all sorted, I'm actually going to tweak what I originally did, and I'm going to add some little teeny speckles at the end, so that'll be fun. But we're going to start out by making up a mix. And I'm going to use the Galar, the Landscape Galar, and I'm going to use my old favourite Gold Ochre. Now Galar, we've used this before, it's a really intense colour, a really vivid bright pink, fuchsia I would say really. So I'm just going to use a little bit and we'll see what the colour looks like. So I mean it's not even a quarter. Okay, drop that in. Because we don't want this to be a super bright colour, you know, you can tell there's pinks in there, you can tell there's going to be the purple in there, but it's not overpowering. And then to that Galar, I'm going to add just a little bit of the Gold Ochre because we want to make this slightly peach leaning. So again, not too much, I'm just going to start with a teeny bit. And just add some water in and see what that looks like. So I'm going to make that up to about 300 mils with warm water just from the tap. and just see what the colour looks like. At the moment it does look quite orange, so, but actually when you look at it in the spoon, it's sort of like a gently neon peach, if that makes sense. I'm just going to test it on my paper. Yeah, it definitely is looking pink here. We go with that. So this is now hot. So I'm going to add in this first layer of colour. I'm just really going to pour this in quite a haphazard way. Oh yeah, that's lovely, isn't it? I'm not trying to get anything quite delicate in terms of where the colour lies. I just want to get it in. Probably not going to do quite all of it. And just give it a shufty around. It's very nice, isn't it? Then as soon as we've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it straight away. All I'm trying to do is get a nice variation with the tones of, you know, the depths of the colour. Get it back in. Oh, it's beautiful. And then I'm just going to put what I've got remaining into here. So again, just quite freely, just get it in. And what we will have created, there will inevitably be areas that are very pale, but we've got a lot of areas with quite a good amount of colour there, haven't we? So let's now just have a little look at that. You can see all the dye colour is gone. And I just want to check how we're doing with sort of colour distribution. Do we need a bit more is what I'm thinking. I'm actually thinking that's lovely because we're going to add another colour into it. Isn't it beautiful? Ooh. Give it a little move around and get it back in the water. And what I'm going to do actually is just take out a scoop of this water because I want to keep the level about what it was. This is such a beautiful colour. We've used it before. Such a gorgeous dusky purple. So I'm going to add more of this. Landscape dyes, I find you need to use a bit more, generally speaking. So I've got a full 1/8 there, and I'm probably going to add another half. Let's make that up again to 300 mils. I think it's going to be dark enough. I'm just debating whether to add just a touch more. Do you know, I think I will. So just put a bit more. So I've probably put in there 2 flat spoons. That looks better. So we're going to do the same thing really, more like little ribbons this time, because we want to get hints of this colour. That's probably enough for that layer. So we've got that in, and then I'm just again going to move it straight away because we don't mind if this mingles a bit. Oh, it's lovely. So let's give that a little move. So we're now going to add a bit more, but you can see areas of where we've got that purple. It's just so pretty. So let's put in a bit more. And don't worry if you think, you know, we've lost a bit of that prettiness of the peach, because we're going to pep it back up again. So that's in there. Let's just lift it straight away and have a little look, and you can see now we've got lovely areas of this dusky purple coming through. So just get that back in and let it finish absorbing that last bit of lilac that we've got in there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to flash through a little bit of the galah just by itself. Okay, let's just take a teeny bit. Okay, just literally a teeny bit, and I'm only going to make it to about 200 mils. Okay, I think it needs to be a bit stronger actually. Yeah, I'm going to put a bit more in because we do want to see the difference between the peach and then this pink that's going on top. Okay, you can see now, you might not be able to, but that is quite a strong pink now. So now I'm just going to put, I probably won't use all of this, but I just want to introduce some of this bright pink just to give, like I said, just to lift it a little bit. So I'm going to go just a bit more sort of gentle with this and do little ribbons. Probably over areas that don't have so much. And that really is going to make a difference. So this time, rather than moving it straight away, I don't want to lose this lilac and peach. So I'm just going to let that set for a second. Probably only take 5 minutes. And then I will just move it. And just use up the rest of that bright pink. Okay, so I'm now going to just let that cook away for 5 minutes or so, just to set all of those colours really nicely. And then I'm just going to do one extra stage, which I didn't do when I dyed this before, but I feel like now it would really add to it. So we're just going to add a few tiny little speckles on top. So I'm just going to give that 5 minutes just to set all of those colours, and then we'll come back and do a little bit of speckling. Okay, so what I've done now is I've taken out a load of the water so that we've just got a little bit in there, because I'm going to do some speckling now. But just look at the colours, isn't it just beautiful? I mean, if you don't want to speckle, you could just leave it like this, which is what I did originally. But for this one, I think I'm just going to add in just a few speckles, just on one layer, because I don't want, I just want you to occasionally get a speckle. I don't want them to be kind of continuous throughout the skein. I just want them every now and again. So I'm going to use the dusk for this. The main reason is that we've got a lot of pink going on in there. I don't really want to put any more pink in there. The gold wouldn't really show up as a speckle. It would just kind of blend in. When you speckle, you really want a darker shade. So I'm going with the dusk. And also, as I've said many times before, the landscape dyes speckle much better than any other brand I've used, because it's like a granular formation. So that it just lends itself to really nice speckles. We don't want to overpower this at all. We're just adding an extra bit of interest. And if you think it hasn't gone on, just give it a minute, because it can take a minute for the colour to kind of show up through the moisture and the heat. And although this dusk is quite a gentle colour when you use it as a dye, when you speckle it, you can see you do get quite a nice dark colour. It's lovely. So I'm really not going to do too much of this. It's really pretty though, isn't it? I mean, you can do what you want. If you want loads of speckles, then go for it, But I think I'm going to leave it at that. That looks good. So now we just need to, I'm going to put the heat back on. I turned it off because it was bubbling, and I don't like the water to be bubbling when I'm speckling, because it can make it kind of move too much and then go into the water. So I've put the heat back on. So I'm just going to let that just simmer away for 5 minutes now, just to set those speckles, and then we will pop it outside to cool down. So there we go, that's our first and main colourway all dyed up, and it's cooling down outside. So come back in part 2 when we're going to dye up the coordinating minis, and then we're going to get to the knitting. So I'll see you back soon.
Well, I must say I'm loving that colourway a little bit. And what I've seen...
Yes.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yes.
I mean, what a film, to be honest.
I know. It's the perfect film. And if you haven't watched it, I know there are people out there that haven't, go watch it, because you won't regret it. I don't know anybody who doesn't like it.
No.
Do you think you could not like it? I don't know.
Well, I know that some people are adverse to romance.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah.
So if you are adverse to romance,
then it's probably not your
won't
thing.
watch it. Go stick on Alien. You'll be fine.
Oh, no. Oh, worst film ever. Worst series of films ever.
Which Kay watched with her devoutly Catholic mother.
I don't know why we watched it.
I know what we should watch.
When I was like a teenager, presumably.
Let's stick on
I don't know. Bizarre, isn't it, really?
It's
anyway.
extremely bizarre.
Yeah. No, but it's just I think it's just a lovely, perfect, cosy, comforting film. And yeah, this colourway this time is actually, as I've said, right from the very end of the film. So that's fun.
Now, a lot of people mention The Shop Around the Corner, which we have watched too.
Yes, love it. Watched it a few times.
Yeah, he's such a cool actor, is old
James Stewart.
James Stewart.
Yeah, it's a fantastic film, and that's obviously where the inspiration came from.
Yeah. And of course, that's set in a foreign country, isn't it?
It
Which
is.
really cool.
Yeah.
I think it was written by a foreign author. That's why it was set in a foreign country.
Right. Okay. It's somewhere sort of Eastern European, I think.
Yeah. But of course, they all speak.
But they all
American
speak
accents.
American accent, yeah, with an American accent, speaking English. Yeah.
Just like how Robin Hood spoke with an American accent.
True, and nobody ever questions it.
But of course not, because it's stupendous.
Because we only said last night we want to watch it again.
Yes. A little while ago, I mean, it'll be years now. Isn't it funny as you get old? Isn't it?
No, was it years or was it only last year?
No, it wasn't last year.
It's either last year or the year before.
Yeah,
because it's
the year
in my journal, and I've only been doing that. This is the third year.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I got Kay a special edition of it, and oh my goodness, it's just stupendous.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's got a few lines in that have been changed.
Yeah, and also
things
as
like
well, there was not behind the scenes, like stuff that you could watch. Stuff.
Interesting stuff about it.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed it. We
we must watch it again.
because we love that film.
We do.
Yeah. But we don't speak of the tree.
We don't speak of the tree.
Gosh.
Because I will eternally be heartbroken over that
thank
tree.
goodness that film exists.
Yes.
Because without that film...
And thank goodness we've been there several times, and we've got the memories and we've got the photos.
And I've got drone footage.
And you've got drone
which
footage.
Is stupendous.
Yeah.
I mean, that is wonderful to have.
I know. Oh, it's such a tragic thing to happen. Anyway.
All we've seen is just the first half. Yes, when we come back, it's going to be what colour is Kay going to do for the contrast? We will find out. And then it's time to get knitting.
It's a good one.
Oh, and it's brilliant when you get knitting because Kay does some drawing. Oh, you're going to love it.
Look,
where's Morph when you want him?
Don't judge me for my terrible drawing of a sock.
You're going to love it. Look, to get there, we have to do a very lovely, because I've got something too, but you go first because you've got two things, haven't you?
Yes.
So I shall say, Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
So I have finished Dan's socks, and guess what? I haven't even blocked them.
So this is your first cast off of the year.
Yes.
Whoa!
Yay!
How many will she get?
How many am I going to get?
Comment in the show notes below.
Yes.
I'm going to say 38.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I've no idea. I mean, let's give myself a round number of 50. I don't know. Who knows?
That's a good guess.
We shall see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I finished Dan's West Yorkshire Spinners socks. And yeah, I haven't even blocked these, right? You can tell with the heels look. I haven't blocked them because I just wanted to get them finished. This second sock seemed to take me forever. And I employed in this case, it was 15 rounds a day that I did. And then obviously did the heel and turn on one day, the toe on another, just to get them done. Because, I don't know, I think what it was, I knit these on double points. They're lovely, aren't they? They are really lovely. This is West Yorkshire Spinners in Robin. And then the red, I believe, is Rouge.
Do they do a Batman colourway as well?
Yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? I do really love this colourway, and this is why I wanted to knit this yarn. But yeah, I knit these on double points, wooden double points. It's the higher bamboos, isn't it, that I love. And, I mean, I loved the first sock, but for whatever reason, the second sock, I just wanted to knit magic loop. You know, I go through phases, don't I, of wanting to do double points and then another time wanting to do magic loop. But with double points, I'm slower. But sometimes being slower is a good thing, isn't it? You know, I think it's nice sometimes just to take your time. But in this case, I just wanted to get them done. But I didn't switch to a magic loop because I know my gauge is a little bit tighter on double points. So I've stuck with it and got them finished. And I think they're absolutely lovely. So yeah, I just finished them, folded them, stuck them down there and thought, that's it, I'm done. Move on to something else. So Dan will just put these on his feet to block them. And
Well, I go in the shower in them.
well, you could, I suppose. But
And then I put my feet up next to the radiator.
I don't think that would work.
For 6 hours.
No, because your feet are just really weird and it would stretch them out. Anyway, so yeah, I did really enjoy knitting this yarn. However, I stand by my original description, let's say, of this yarn, in that you do get areas where it goes really thin, the yarn, and that still did happen to me with these. So I really hope that that doesn't affect the wearability. And I did get some comments on these. I posted a picture and lots of people said that they found that they wear fine. They've had them a couple of years and they're still going strong. So that's brilliant.
Okay then.
So we shall see, because Dan, you are quite hard on your socks.
Start the clock.
Yeah, we'll see. And I really do hope they last at least a year, and then the effort will be worth it. But they are beautiful. And I love this colourway. It's definitely my favourite of the West Yorkshire Spinners. Some of the colourways I'm not that keen on, like some of the Christmas ones that they've done. This was a Christmas one from a few years ago. But some of the recent Christmas ones I've not really been a fan of. But this one I really liked. So yeah, they're all done. There you go. Have those.
Now you can say,
Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's off your needles?
It's the Nutkin socks in this gorgeous colour. It's like perfect. I love this. And also I love knitting the Nutkin socks because, as I said so many times, something on the front, something on the back. It's like my perfect combination. I am really enjoying knitting the frosted socks though, because you knit the panel and then you go, well, get around to the panel again.
Yeah.
So you get through it quick.
You do.
So that's really cool. So I reckon I'll probably knit those faster, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But yes, thoroughly enjoy knitting these. Everything about it
And
is
I
like
get some
my
new
perfect,
socks now.
perfect. I love the rib at the top because I can't stand boring ribs, and I loved.
I like the garter edged heel on these ones as well.
That was really fun. It was just a great project all the way through.
Lovely.
And it starts me off the year in style.
It does. And
We are currently tied.
they're for me. I might wear those tonight with my pyjamas.
Look, let's just pause in this moment for as long as possible because right now the competition is tied.
It's equal.
Between the two
One
of us.
each.
One each.
That's fun.
Okay.
I've got something else now, but this isn't knitted, so I don't even know if this will count.
No, that wouldn't be fair, would it? Because I can't have a sewn finished project.
No.
So this doesn't count.
So I don't. This is not going to count towards the cast-offs because it's not a cast-off. This is something I've stitched and sewn.
Yeah, because you never count a bag as a cast on.
No.
No, so it's not fair to count it as a cast on.
No. But I'm going to show you because it's a finished thing. And
Well, it is.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I want to show it
This
off.
is still an entertainment programme.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, we're currently 1-1 then
Yes,
for our cast-offs.
and it shall remain 1-1 until next time.
Yeah, I think I will have a couple of things next time. So I made a bag, everybody. I made a bag. Oh, actually, I made a phone case as well. I could show
Thank
that.
goodness we're not counting them.
No, I'll show my phone case as well because that's right here. Yeah, so the bag, look, I finished, first of all, the cross-stitch heart that I was working on. I've shown you that a couple of times. This was from World of Stitches. It's a UK shop. Fantastic cross-stitch kits. And this one I finally finished. And I just loved stitching it. If you are a cross-stitcher and you're feeling in a bit of a rut with it, as we all get into funks like that, don't we, with our crafting, this is a great one to do because it's just all these little squares and you get to play with all these beautiful colours. And you could change the colours out if you want and use your own threads. But yeah, I finished it and look, I've made it into this beautiful bag. And the back is the same two fabrics, but just like a big panel and a smaller one. I bought these two fabrics when we were in York for a visit, last year sometime. And I got these from Sostrine Green. I don't know if anybody knows that shop. What's the country it's from? I can't remember exactly the country. It's somewhere sort of Scandinavian, where the shop's actually from, but they're popping up now all over the country. And it's sort of like, how would you describe Sostrine Green? It's like an eclectic mix of crafting things and stationery and homewares, all those sorts of things. Sort of like, it's not like IKEA because the shops are small. It's like high street shop. But it's got that kind of Scandinavian mix. And they do lots of crafting things. And when I went in with Bryony, they had these little like fat quarters of fabric. So I picked up these two. I just thought they were really pretty. I love this one in particular. I just thought they were really lovely. It's just cotton, but it's a really nice cotton actually. It's lovely. So I patchworked the front into, one panel and then used what I'd got left over for the back. And then inside, I didn't have enough to do the inside because this turned into a big bag. I thought this would be like a sock size bag, but by the time I'd done the panel for the front, I was like, yeah, it's not. But whatever. But I had this fabric, I don't know where this is from, but it sort of matched really nicely. It's just like a pale blue with little silver flowery things on, but it just looked really nice. And the front panel, actually, the patchworked front panel took me as long to do as making the whole bag when I'd finished that. It just took me forever because the way I did it was I put this piece on, I attached this piece, and then I attached this piece, and then I decided what length I wanted it to be and just trimmed it, and then I put on the top and the bottom. As I do with all of my bags, I line them with like what's it called? The thick fleecy iron-on interfacing. And that makes them just really nice and sturdy and nice and cushy as well. And yeah, I put on a handle and just put some little ribbon on the zip and I've got a beautiful bag. So that's lovely and all finished and I was thrilled to get it done. And then I very luckily got a new phone for Christmas and it's pink. I'll just show you the back of it. Look at my phone. And I've got a clear sparkly cover on this, so it's pink and sparkly. So my phone cozy that I use when I go for a walk every day, I put my phone in a little cozy so that I can carry it. It was too small and it was really old as well. It was starting to fray. So I made a new one. So here's the new one. I used a Liberty. This is actually a Liberty Lawn, which I don't often use, but I just loved this print. I think it's a Betsy print, but then it's got gold stars on it, which I think is lovely. And then I lined it with a sparkly pink linen. It's a bit thicker, so I thought that was good for the lining. And then I put on a couple of poppers, a little handle, and then my phone goes in. I can popper it in and then carry it and it doesn't come to any harm. So yeah, I got that done as well. So I was really pleased. Two lovely sewn things to start the year.
Thank God we're not counting them. Look, I want to find out what the contrasting yarn is going to be and then it's time to get knitting. Oh yes. Well, there's been lots of knitting already. But of course, we're talking about My Perfect Socks.
We are.
So let's get back and find out how the episode's going to end.
Welcome back everybody to My Perfect Socks. So our main colour is now all done. It's time now to dye up the coordinating colour. So we're going to get to that, we're going to get it dyed up and then excitedly it'll be time to sit down, we're going to have a chat about the socks and then we're going to get to the knitting. Okay, so we're ready now to do our mini that's going to go with it. And I've just been thinking about what colour I'm going to do this as I've been dyeing that main skein. And I think the obvious choice would be to use the dusk because we put those speckles in at the end, didn't we? And then the dusk would match perfectly. So that would be a great choice. But I'm going to go with the gold ochre because I think it would be nice to have something that sort of contrasts a little bit more. And also the scene is so bright and colourful with all of those flowers. I think if we have a different colour, because we don't really see the gold fully in the colour that we've dyed because we only used it a teeny bit, if you remember. So I'm going to go with the gold. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this in sort of 2 layers. I'm going to put some gold into the pot, and then I'm going to put the minis in, and then I'm going to also sprinkle a bit of gold on, and then, you know, give it a push quickly. And then that's going to give me lots of different tones, and I might even get a teeny bit of speckling, which is okay. So gold ochre, and I'm going to put in, I don't know how this is going to look, obviously, so I'm just going to go with about 1/2 of an 1/8, I would say there. And let's just see what that looks like when we give it a stir. Because we want to be able to see the gold. You know, we do want it to be a nice, fairly brightish colour, I think. Because that skein is very sort of bright and fun, isn't it? Not super bright, but I think this will look good. So let's just see. Yeah, let's try that. So just make sure you've given it a good old stir. And that, the water's not boiling hot at the moment, but it's hot enough for us to get the yarn in. As long as you heat your water fully as the sort of final stage, that will then set everything. So let's grab our minis. There they are. So I've got 2 minis here, as we're doing before. And that's just because dyeing 1 mini by itself, it's just a little bit too minimal. Here we go. So I'm just going to get that in. And give it a nice swirl around as I get it in. Okay. And I want some nice tones, so I haven't moved it yet. Oh, lovely. Hang on, what's happened to my skein? There we go. And just get that back in. Oh, that's a beautiful yellow. I don't think I've ever, have I ever used gold ochre just in its pure form like this? I'm not sure, actually. So this is lovely, just to use 1 shade and see what you get. It's really pretty. It's a gorgeous yellow, isn't it? Lovely. So I am just going to add a little bit more on top of that, just to get a bit more interest, a bit more depth. Because I don't want this to look like a solid. I do want it to look just a little bit more interesting than that. So I'm just going to grab probably about the same amount again. Not too much, actually. Maybe 1/3 of a teaspoon. And just sprinkle it over the top. And it just sort of sits there. But then if you give it a push, that will just give us a bit more interest and some depth. You could just leave it like that, or you could add, you know, you could let that set and then turn and give it a bit more. But I think I'm just going to leave it like that, because I like the depth of colour that I've got there. I don't want it to be too overpowering against our main skein, and I think that's going to be beautiful. Such a pretty colour. Okay, so I'm just going to bring that up to a nice sort of simmering point now, and then just let it have a little cook away for 5 minutes or so, and then we can cool it down with the other one, and then it'll be time, won't it? We're getting closer to the knitting, which is very exciting. So that's our yarn all dry and ready to be knitted. So it's time now to get it skeined up and get that yarn on our needles. Okay, so we have got our beautiful yarn all dried, and I've just skeined this up just so we can show you what it looks like in the skein. It's absolutely gorgeous, I've got to say. And you know, I have dyed, like I said, I've dyed this before, but adding those speckles just really does make a difference. Oh, it's so pretty. I keep looking at it because it's so gorgeous, because the peach is there, that mauvey purple, and then the bright shots of that pink just work perfectly. And then we've got our gold minis as well. Pink and gold for me is like a classic combination. I don't know whether anyone else considers pink and yellow or pink and gold to be a brilliant match, but I absolutely love those two together. Just fantastic. I'm thrilled with how this has come out. So I'm not going to be using the minis, obviously, in this series. I said that before, I wasn't going to be using the minis, but I am keeping one of each of all of these minis, so that at the end of this series I can sort of line them all up and show you those as well. And I think that'll be lovely. And then I'll have 12 minis that I can use in something. The other one, I mean, Bryony's just seen this yellow, and she's, as Bryony says, I'm obsessed. So I might have to do something with one of the minis for her. But anyway, we need now to skein this one up, don't we? Because we need to get to the knitting, which is very exciting. So I've got my, oh dear, I've got my ball winder set up. Yes, I haven't addressed the ball winder situation, and I did get lots of comments. Thank you so much, just giving me you know, suggestions for a replacement. So I really appreciate that. I just haven't got around to sort of spending the time to do it. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that it's okay today. So I'm going to get this on the Swift, and then we will get this wound up, and hopefully it won't take me 30 minutes, because that's what happened last time. So fingers crossed. Everybody, let's give this a go. Oh my goodness, it did it. And what I did this time, it did look, it had, there is a random bit in the middle there, but that's okay. I just went slower because I get a bit impatient, you know, and I'm doing this, and we've all been there, haven't we? But I went a bit slower, and that seems to have worked, and it looks absolutely great. Oh, it looks beautiful wound up, absolutely beautiful. And it's just going to follow on from that first colour really well, I think. Lovely. Yes, it worked. So that's our yarn all caked up. So there's only one thing left to do, isn't there? We're going to get our knitting out. We're going to start knitting this into my perfect socks. Okay, so here we are then, ready to start knitting our next section. So I've got my 2 cuffs here that we completed last time, and then my next yarn. Now what I thought I would just do actually before we started knitting was, I know I explained last time about the maths on how you work it out with regards to the thickness of your stripes and splitting it into 12 and all of that. But I thought it might be useful if I just drew it out. So I'll just move this out of the way and just bring in a book, because sometimes seeing a visual I think is much easier than me just explaining the maths of it. So I'm going to draw a very bad sock now, so don't judge me on how this sock looks, but it's just purely to show you how I'm going to split it up into my 12 sections, and I think then it might just be a bit easier for you in your head. So if we just start with a cuff. So that's our cuff that we've already done. And then we're just going to do a little leg. Let me see how I'm going to split this. Yeah, that'll be fine. And now we have to turn it into a sock. So I'm just going to go down and then down. Oh, that looks like a very long foot, doesn't it? This is where it all becomes quite hilarious. But you get the idea. So there's our toe and there's our heel. Okay. So our cuff was number 1. And then we've got our heel and our toe. We know that our toe is going to be number 12. And in my case, my heel will be number 4, because what I'm going to do is I will have 2 sections here. So 2, 3, 4, and then I've got 7 sections down here. So I've got to now divide this into 7. So this is where it gets fun. I'm probably not going to be able to do this in any even way whatsoever. 3, 4, 5, 6, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we'll just make that one a bit smaller. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, you see, that totally didn't really work, but the section numbers are correct. So we've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And then the toe is 12. So that's how I'm going to split my sock up. And each of my sections will be 9 rounds. So that just gives me a really short leg of 18 rounds. I think when I said last time, I might have just got all the maths muddled in my head. And I think I said my leg would be 27 rounds. I thought there was going to be 3 sections here. I knew full well there was only going to be 2, but I think the maths was just blowing my mind. So that's why I just thought I would just go over this again. So we've got the 12 sections there. We've got 9 rounds. My leg is just going to be a really lovely short 18 rounds. And then I've got 63 rounds running down to my toe. Now we've got all of that boring maths out of the way, we can knit. So I only need 1 of these, obviously. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to knit 9 rounds. So this is a lovely thing to do, isn't it? You've got both of your socks on the go now, and you've just got to knit a little section on each when we get the new colours. So it's sort of like doing an advent sock, isn't it? It really is like that, because we've got 12 sections as well, which is very adventish. So yeah, we're just going to start knitting. Now, I need to get a couple of stitch markers actually. I normally just hook on a stitch marker here on the front of my sock just to tell me which is the front and the back. You don't technically need it, because you know that when you've got your tail end coming out of the right side here, the right side of your sock, you know that this is the front. But as you start working down the sock, you don't want to have to keep looking for your tail. So I usually just put a stitch marker on. So I will get 2 pretty stitch markers for next time. But for now, we're just going to start knitting. So what I do is I get my tail from the previous colour and just tuck that down inside. There we go. And then where was the end? There we go. So all I do is just pull out my yarn, pull out my needle, leave a tail for weaving in, loop it over and just start to knit. Make sure you're not knitting with your tail end. And I think this pink is going to flow nicely from the cuff colour, because the cuff does have that pale pink in there. So I think it's going to be a nice one to follow. And I'm just going to knit 9 rounds. So I don't tend to use a row counter when I'm doing sort of scrappy socks like this. I just count the rows that's underneath my needle. But you can use a row counter if you want to. And now I can just happily knit away my 9 rounds on each of my socks. And I'm very excited to have 2 socks completed at the same time, because I very rarely do this. So we'll see as we run through this series how I feel about that. I think I'm usually just too excited just to knit the whole sock, you know, to then have to put it down and knit another cuff. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that now. I just want to carry on knitting. So when I've worked across one side, I just grab my tail again, like that and just pull it down through the middle. And then we can carry on. So there we go. I really hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoy knitting the next section on your own perfect socks. I'm just loving, I've knit 3 rounds here and I've had to force myself to stop just to come and finish off with you here. But I can't wait to knit these two sections on the socks. I think it's just going to look so lovely with that cuff, because it had a little bit of pink in it, and now we've got that stronger pink with the peach and the bits of mauvey sort of lavender in there. It's just going to look so lovely. And I'm actually thinking now I might change what was going to come next, having seen this. I do this all the time, I like to jiggle colours around and change things, but we'll see anyway. I just want to make sure that everything sort of flows really nicely. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed that. And if you're not going to die with me, then I know a lot of people are just going to their stashes to find a yarn. This actually reminds me, when I caked it up, it reminds me of a Madeline Tosh, or something about it is reminding me of a sort of more commercial yarn. So it might be, if you look in your stash, you might have something similar. You just want to look for a yarn that's got pinks, leaning a little bit peach, with maybe some darker specks in there of that. I've used that lavender. It just looks lovely. I can really see, I don't know if you can, but I can really see the peach here, and then the darker pink and the speckles. I absolutely love it, and I can see me knitting a full pair of socks actually with this. I'm going to probably end up knitting full pairs of socks with each of the colourways, because Dan's using the first one from last time. I think I want to knit a pair in this, so we'll see how it goes. And of course I've got the lovely gold, which is just fantastic. Isn't that the most beautiful colour? And I've used gold ochre such a lot. You all know how I feel about gold ochre, but I just don't know that I've ever used it in its sort of pure form. Maybe I have, I don't know, but I think it just looks so beautiful with that pink, doesn't it? It's just gorgeous. So I'm really thrilled with how that's come out, and I really hope you've enjoyed working through, however you are enjoying this series, whether you're just knitting along with me, whether you are dyeing as well, or whether you're just watching. I appreciate everybody that's joining in. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed that, and of course I will see you next time for more of my perfect socks.
There we go. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful episode.
Yes.
You just can't beat You've Got Mail. It is the business. And in here we have the gorgeous socks.
I do. I have the socks and I've got the yarn, because when I was holding it up, when I was sat in my cosy corner, the light was coming in and I'm not sure it was showing it very well. So here's the yarn. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Oh, it's so pretty. I'm so pleased with it. And here are the lovely socks. I have knit the next section. Oh, I feel like I need one of those bags with 2 compartments in, because they're getting all mixed up. So I've got 2, but I'll just show you one of them, because it's difficult to show 2, isn't it? And it's just looking so beautiful, look. Oh, so nice. So we've got a little bit of pink in the cuff, which is now more pink with that next colour. So yeah, I've got my 2 socks ready for the next colour, which is very, very exciting. But I absolutely love this. I'm definitely going to have to knit a full pair of socks, I think, with this. It's just beautiful, isn't it? I love it, how it came out.
Did all you British viewers notice when Kay started drawing? Yes, it was Take Heart Gallery. Oh, yes.
Dan found a piece of music that was really like Take Heart. Can anybody remember that?
We
I
just
loved
need,
it.
need a bit of morph as well.
I
and
know.
We'll be golden.
It was really funny. Dan said, you played the music, and I said, oh my gosh, it's Take Heart.
And I went, brilliant, because that's what we're looking for.
And here's the yellow. It's so pretty. And here's the two minis together. So that's my first two minis. And I think they look really nice together. I'm not intending, to knit these together, but yeah, that's the first two minis.
And just in case anyone's wondering, Take Heart was not a spin-off of Heart to Heart.
No.
Take Heart, when they met, it was murder.
Murder. Oh, I loved that.
Yeah.
And no, Take Heart was like a children's art programme
With
back in the
Tony
day.
Hart.
Tony Hart,
Yes.
Fantastic man.
Jonathan's dad.
He wasn't. But every week or however often it was, they had the gallery, didn't they, where they showed all the children's work.
Sometimes the work was brilliant, other times not so much.
Yeah. And this music was in the background, and it was dun, 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 dun. Oh,
Yeah.
I can't do it in case it's copyrighted.
Oh, don't worry, I don't think anyone's going to sue you, darling.
But you know it. If you know, you know, as they say.
It was like Jane McDonald was here for a moment. On that note, it's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
Oh, yes. And we have Sock Stash prizes.
We do.
Sock Stash was our year-long patron-only knit-along, and we're doing it again this year. We're going to talk about it in detail on the next patron-exclusive show, which is coming on the 26th of January at 2 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time.
Yeah.
We'll also be talking about Valenvent, which is our next big patron event, and so much more. But last year's event has finished, and Kay will now announce the prize winners.
Yes, so we've got 3 prizes, and it's 3 sock sets that I dyed up last year in my dyeing series when it was themed on books.
Yes.
So these are the 3 prizes.
The Yarny Book Club.
Yarny Book Club, thank you. So the first winner, which is for this one, which was the Ghost, this was won by number 8. And that is, now I'm not sure what this lady's name is.
Desi, I go with.
Desi. It's on Ravelry, you're Desi. Desi. I don't know where you're from or any information, but Desi, this is yours. Now, for all 3 winners, if you could email us, please, just to say you've seen it and just to give us your mailing details, full name, address, then I can get all these sent out to you. Okay, so Desi, you have won that one. Well done. The second one is this one, which is number 19. And this has been won by Val AW on Ravelry, and that's Val in the UK.
Congratulations.
Oh, we love a UK winner. So Val, this one is yours, and this is And Then There Were None. Lovely. And then the third winner is number 38, and that is KLP Snow.
Who's that, Kay?
That is Karen. We know Karen very well. That's Karen in Michigan. Go Lions. That's all I'm saying. And Karen, you have won this one, which was my one for the Blackbird, one for the Crow. Fantastic book. So all you 3 ladies, if you can email us, like I said, with your full name, mailing details, I will get those sent out to you in the post. Well done, everybody that took part. And just, we're back into it again this year. Very exciting.
You bought some yarn.
I've also bought some yarn. Yes, I have. So I was on Wool Warehouse, like you do, recently, looking under the new section, like you do. And I came across this yarn. I thought, I'm going to have to give this a go. It's a new one from Cascade, and it's called Heritage 6. And basically, it's like Cascade Heritage, the sock yarn, but it's thicker. And I'm presuming it's called 6 because it's a 6-ply yarn. I haven't counted the plies, but I'm guessing that's the case. And it's a sport weight. It's described as sport. So I got 3 colours, inspired by Pooh Bear. Why not? I thought I'd make Bryony some Pooh Bear socks at some point, just to give it a try and do a review of it. So they come in 100 gram skeins, and you get 292 yards per 100 grams. And it recommends a 3.25 to 3.75 millimetre needle. So if I was going to make socks out of these, I would use a 2.75 and probably 56 stitches and give that a go. It definitely looks thinner than Cascade Heritage, the normal sock yarn, but not substantially so, you know, not... It's definitely nowhere near a DK, I would say. But I think it'd be fun to try. It feels the same. It's got that lovely soft feel. So if you like solid yarns for socks, maybe, but you want slightly thicker ones, I think that this might be a good one to look at. So yeah, I've got those to play with. And then, again, this is inspired by my sock stash from last year. I knit a pair of socks. I've got them on today. I knit a pair of socks using Sherry Iris yarn, and it was one of her flower colourways. It was Granny's Bonnet. I don't know if you remember. It had mainly purple and a little bit of pink. Sorry, it's purple and pink. I was looking at my feet. And I just needed a plain pair of socks. And I've been wearing those and I absolutely love them. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go and buy a couple more skeins from Sherry to knit some more for my sock stash this year. So I got these two, and I got lupins and in celebration of berries. And I wanted purples mainly. I just fancied purple. So I got these two beautiful skeins. Just lovely. So the lupins colour is purples, a little bit of pink, greens, and then also a little bit of like a golden colour. Oh, it's so pretty. So that's lupins. I'm not fond of lupins, I'll be honest. You know, the flower. I've never really been fond of lupins. I don't know why. And then the other one, in celebration of berries, I think I'll do this one first. This one is gorgeous. Look, it's sort of blues, purples. It's got a bit of like a brownish shade here. Pinks, like a greyish brown it is there. Just lovely. So yeah, very much looking forward to getting those on the needles too this year.
Brilliant. We have a brand new issue of Knitability. It's out now.
Yeah.
We've started the year actually at a pace, because we obviously had our first episode out on the 3rd. We then had a new issue of Knitability magazine, as I say, out on the 9th. And in there, we're getting excited for the year ahead, reflecting a little bit on last year, articles from patrons, interviews with a great designer, and of course, the wonderful Shelley DuPont,
yes,
who is Polka Dot Creek.
Polka Dot Creek.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So great interview with Shelley. And it's just the business. It's a really great first issue of the year.
Get us started with a bang.
Yes, I know. Our Knitability editor, Jen, did a stupendous job.
She
did. You can read that right now. And of course, all our exclusive patron content is now back to its normal schedule of every Tuesday and Thursday. Jen's here with a review on Tuesday next week. We've got our radio show back next Thursday. We've got a special episode of Design Diary coming on the 30th of January, talking all about Valenbent. And then, of course, in February, we're into Valenbent.
We are.
So it's super exciting.
Yeah.
So that's it. Oh my goodness, what an episode.
Fabulous.
Thank you so much
Get
for
knitting
watching.
your perfect socks, everybody.
Yes, and we'll see you in 2 weeks with more.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Who's it sitting and knitting? It's Dan and Kay, the bakery players. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay, the bakery players. They'll take you to fabulous places of which they're favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's in your oven, or maybe a shawl you'll want to wear. So sit yourself right down